Stop scrolling. Seriously, just for a second. I want you to think about the last video you watched online or the last article you clicked on. Did you actively choose it, or did it kind of choose you? In today's Explainer, we're pulling back the curtain on the digital reality you interact with every single day. We're going to explore a hidden system that knows exactly what makes you curious, what makes you angry, and most importantly, what makes you stay. It's a system meticulously engineered to influence human behavior, and we're going to break down exactly how it works.
Okay, let's dive into this. When most of us hear the word algorithm, we probably picture, a chalkboard full of dense computer science or complicated math. But the reality is actually much simpler and honestly much more profound. At its core, an algorithm is just a prediction machine. Its entire job is to predict what you are going to do next. Every single click, every pause, every like, every comment, it all provides information. You might think you're just casually browsing, but in reality, you're constantly feeding this AI-driven personalization system that is actively learning how to capture and hold your focus.
There's this massive disconnect between our perception and reality. We all operate under the comforting belief that we have total autonomy over our digital diets, right? That we choose what we watch. But the reality is that these platforms operate in what's called an attention economy. Back in the industrial age, companies fought over raw materials. Today, they are fighting for your time. Attention is literally the currency of the internet. If you aren't paying for the product, well, your attention is the product. Every second you spend staring at a screen generates tangible value for the platform. So the content you see pop up isn't necessarily what's best for you, or even the most truthful. It's simply what is statistically most likely to keep you from closing that app.
The computer scientist Jaron Lanier really hit the nail on the head here. He said that these companies offer you shiny treats in exchange for minutes of your attention and bytes of your personal data. It's an exchange. And as author Cal Newport points out, major tech companies employ actual attention engineers who borrow core principles directly from Las Vegas casinos. They are hijacking your brain's dopamine system to make these platforms act exactly like slot machines. You're pulling a metaphorical lever every single time you refresh your feed, looking for that intermittent variable reward. The desired use case for these products is literally addiction, because that is what maximizes the profit they can extract from your attention.
Let's move to the mechanics and see how this builds into an incredibly powerful algorithmic feedback loop fueled by autoplay psychology and infinite scrolling. Let's say you watch a video. The algorithm logs your interaction. And it's not just that you clicked it. It logs exactly how many seconds you paused on it while scrolling. Next, it serves you a related, perhaps slightly more amplified or extreme version of that same content. You react to it, and boom, you feed the loop all over again. These algorithms don't just passively reflect your interests, they actively amplify them. The more attention you give something, the more of it you get back, gradually and silently shaping the digital environment you live in.
Now, what if I told you that the way a platform is designed is a highly deliberate choice, one with profound societal consequences? Take a look at this stark contrast highlighted by Tristan Harris. ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, offers a domestic version over in China called Douyin. For kids under 14, it has a hard 40-minute daily limit and predominantly features educational videos, science experiments, museum exhibits, what Harris refers to as a spinach version. Meanwhile, the version shipped out to the West features an infinite, highly addictive scroll. He calls that the opium version. The result of this? Surveys show the #1 aspirational career for preteens in the US is a social media influencer, while over in China, it's an astronaut. The design literally dictates the culture. To understand how deep this really goes, let's look at the data from a massive, systematic audit of YouTube. Researchers created 100,000 automated sock puppets. Basically, these were bots programmed with specific political leanings, ranging from very left to very right, and they just had them watch millions of videos to neutrally observe how the algorithm behaved. The results were fascinating. The algorithm dominantly recommends congenial or like-minded content to keep you watching. But further down the line, 36.1% of these automated users eventually encountered recommendations for highly problematic, conspiratorial, or extreme channels deep in their watch trails. And this happened simply by following the automated up next suggestions. It builds a completely rigid filter bubble around you. Let's put that into perspective with a very specific number. 37%. Researchers found that for right-leaning users, the likelihood of encountering highly extreme congenial recommendations actually increases by 37% the deeper they go into a recommendation trail. The algorithm systematically narrows the worldview, building an inescapable echo chamber. It actively filters out diverse or contrasting viewpoints in favor of content that confirms and radically amplifies existing biases. And this brings us to a really crucial psychological vulnerability: social sorting. Human brains are naturally hardwired to sort people into tribes, based on worldviews. It's how we evolved.
But the engagement-driven internet completely exploits this. Because algorithms optimize for engagement, and because the single most engaging human emotion is anger, social media amplifies the most extreme and controversial opinions out there. We get totally overwhelmed with disagreement, making us feel like anyone with a different opinion is instantly an enemy. The algorithm pushes outrage because, let's be honest, outrage spreads a whole lot faster than nuanced facts.
So the crucial point is, the tech platforms know exactly what they're doing. An internal Facebook report looking at data in Germany explicitly noted that their own recommendation tools were responsible for 64% of all extremist group joins. 64%. Executives are entirely aware that optimizing solely for engagement actively aggravates polarization, tribal behavior, and radicalization. It's not a bug, it's a feature of the business model designed to mine your attention at the absolute expense of civil discourse.
But you know, the profiling goes so much deeper than just what you intentionally click on. Actually, scratch that. The intentional clicks are just the tip of the iceberg. It really relies on this concept called behavioral surplus, a vital term coined by Harvard professor Shoshana Zuboff. We tend to think we're just trading the info we consciously type in, but the most valuable data is the residual data we leave behind completely unwittingly. How fast you type, exactly when you pause scrolling, the cadence of your voice, your physical location. All of this surplus data is fed into massive computational factories to create incredibly precise predictive models of your future offline behavior. And it is happening entirely in the background.
When you actually look at the hidden data extraction playbook, the level of manipulation is almost unbelievable. Platforms run these massive, completely undeclared experiments on us. For instance, you remember the game Pokemon Go? That was actually a massive experiment in economics of action. They used game rewards to herd real human bodies to specific physical businesses that paid for the foot traffic. No way, right? But it's true. Or consider your photos. When you upload a cute family picture, the algorithms aren't just saving a memory for you. They are analyzing hundreds of facial muscles to train their facial recognition software. They have even conducted experiments manipulating subliminal language cues in social feeds just to see if they can successfully alter users' real-world emotions and behaviors without them ever knowing.
The gap between what we think we're doing and what's actually happening is frankly a little haunting. There was a campaign by Deutsche Telekom featuring a digital avatar named Ella that perfectly illustrated this hidden cost of convenience. Think about it. Parents share innocent photos of their children online, totally viewing it as just sharing memories with friends. But to algorithms and bad actors, those photos are raw data. They are the exact biometric blueprints needed to generate deepfakes, steal identities, and feed into mass surveillance models. What we perceive as harmless human connection is simultaneously being harvested to threaten our own future privacy and freedom of expression. And of course, we can't ignore the massive collateral damage all of this does to our mental health. Exposing our brains to intermittent slot machine rewards and constant notifications all day long literally short-circuits our neural wiring. It creates this pervasive background hum of anxiety, which is exactly what mental health experts are seeing explode globally. It destroys our capacity for deep, concentrated work, triggering compulsive checking and completely fragmenting our attention span. And it traps us in an incredibly destructive loop of social comparison, where ordinary, everyday life suddenly feels entirely inadequate compared to the highly curated, algorithmically amplified highlights of millions of strangers.
So what does this all mean? What's the ultimate takeaway here? It's simply this. The most powerful technology in the world isn't the one that controls your screen. It's the one that controls your attention. Algorithms aren't inherently evil. They are just prediction machines doing exactly what they are programmed to do, which is to maximize engagement. But realizing that this digital manipulation is happening, realizing that your outrage, your boredom, and your curiosities are literally being harvested, well, that is the absolutely essential first step to regaining control of your digital life.
Because at the end of the day, your attention is the single most valuable resource you own. Every click is a vote. Every view is a signal, and every second of focus is a choice, and you can start choosing instead of just reacting. Turn off the notifications, break the infinite scroll, and intentionally step out of the filter bubble. The algorithms are constantly learning who you are, shaping your habits, and molding your worldviews. So the final question you really have to ask yourself is this: how much influence are you willing to give them? Think about that the next time you pick up your phone.